There is a crock in the corner of my pantry with a wooden lid on it, and I have no idea how old it is. My mother had it. Her mother had it before that. There is honey in it right now, and there has been honey in it, on and off, for longer than anybody in my family can account for. I want you to understand what that means. That crock has never been cold, not once. It has never been in an icebox, never been in a refrigerator, never been plugged into anything. It sits on a stone floor in the dark, and it has been sitting there since before my grandmother was married. And what's in it is still good. Now, I went and stood in front of my refrigerator this morning before I made this, and I counted. 4 things in there had gone off. A half a bag of something green I'd forgotten, milk. 2 containers I had to smell before I could name them. That machine runs day and night, all year, on my electricity, and it lost me 4 things this week. That crock has been running on nothing for 100 years, and it hasn't lost anything yet. Here's what happened, and it happened fast. Inside about 30 years. Before the refrigerator, a household kept its food using about 15 different methods, and every single one of them was free, or nearly free. Salt, smoke, sugar, vinegar, fat, drying, cold ground, running water, wax, a dark shelf. Then the refrigerator arrived, and it did something no one noticed at the time. It didn't add a 16th method. It replaced all 15 of them with one method that requires a machine, a wire, and a monthly payment. And once your food safety runs on a wire, you have a landlord. The power goes out and you lose everything in that box. The machine dies at 15 years and you buy another one. And every month, forever, a part of your bill goes to keeping a cabinet cold so that milk doesn't turn. Your great-grandmother did not have that problem because she had 15 ways to solve it, and not one of them could be switched off. That is what I want to give back to you today. Not because the refrigerator is bad. I have one and I use it. But because if the only thing standing between you and an empty pantry is a wire coming into your house, you are standing on one leg. I'm Otis Barlow. I'm 73 years old, and I live alone in a cabin in the southern Appalachians, in the same hills I was born in. My mother fed 6 of us through years when there was no money in this house at all, and for the first part of that, there was no refrigerator either. There was a springhouse, a cellar, a smokehouse, a salt box, and about 8 crocks, and she never once threw food away. Not once in my whole childhood do I remember food going in the trash. Before she died, she made me sit at her table with a pencil and write it all down, and she made me promise it wasn't going in the ground with her. 25 ways she kept food without a refrigerator. And I want to be straight with you about the number in the title, because I don't want anybody feeling cheated at minute 20. Some of these keep a week, some keep a season, some keep a year or 2. And one of them, number 1, keeps forever. Not a figure of speech. Archaeologists have opened sealed jars of it in tombs 3,000 years old and found it still edible. That's what's in the crock in my pantry. That's the one I'll finish on, and there's one thing about how you store it that everybody gets wrong and that ruins it, and I'll show you. 25 down to 1. Quick word first. If you're stocking a pantry and watching every dollar, hit subscribe. That's the whole ask. New one every few days out of the same notebook. Number 25, the springhouse. Where there was a spring coming out of the hill, you built a little stone box around it and let the water run through. And you set your milk and your butter in crocks down in that water. Groundwater out of a hillside sits at about 55 degrees all year. Winter and summer, no difference. That's not cold enough for meat, but it is cold enough for milk, butter, cream, and eggs, and it costs nothing, and it never breaks. Most people don't have a spring, but almost everybody has something that works on the same principle, and that's the next one. So if you have a spring, a creek, or even a well on your land, you already own the coldest storage you will ever need, and you are not using it. Number 24. The root cellar, and what actually makes one work. Not a basement. A basement is warm and dry. A root cellar is the opposite of a basement. 3 things make it work. It's underground, so the ground holds it near 50 degrees. It's dark. And it's damp, actually damp, because vegetables lose water and go limp in dry air. If you've got a crawl space, a north-facing garage corner, an unheated back porch, or a stairwell down to a cold basement, you have most of a root cellar already. The rule is cool, dark, and slightly damp, and it is not the same thing as cold. And do not go and buy a dehumidifier for it. Dry is the enemy here. A root cellar that you have dried out is just a warm cupboard, and your carrots will go limp in it inside a month. Number 23. Carrots and beets buried in damp sand. A wooden box, a layer of damp sand, a layer of carrots not touching each other, more sand, more carrots. Down in the cool. They come out in March like you pulled them yesterday. The sand holds the moisture against them so they never dry, and it keeps them from touching, so if one goes bad, it doesn't take the box with it. This is the single best kept vegetable trick in this whole video, and it costs a box and a bag of sand. Do this one with your carrots this October and go and look at them in March. It is the kind of thing you have to see once before you believe it. Number 22. Potatoes and onions, dark, dry, and apart. 2 rules, and both of them get broken in every house in America. 1. Never in the refrigerator. Cold turns potato starch to sugar, and they come out sweet and grainy, and they go dark when you fry them. Cool and dark, never cold. 2. Never near each other. Onions give off a gas that makes potatoes sprout. Different rooms if you can, opposite corners if you can't. Do those 2 things, and a bag of potatoes goes from 3 weeks to 3 months. That is free. Go and check your own kitchen right now. If your potatoes are in the refrigerator, you are shortening their life and ruining their texture, and it costs you nothing to move them tonight. Number 21. Apples wrapped in newspaper, one at a time. Each apple in its own sheet of paper, laid in a box, not touching, somewhere cool. The paper does 2 jobs. It slows the drying, and when one apple goes, the paper stops it reaching the others, because one rotten apple genuinely does spoil the barrel. That isn't a saying, it's a gas the bad one gives off. Kept this way, a good hard apple goes into March. My mother put up 2 bushels every October, and we ate the last of them at Easter. And use your own newspaper. You are not buying anything for this one. You need apples, paper, and somewhere cool, and you probably have 2 of those 3 already. Number 20. Winter squash on a board. Butternut, Hubbard, acorn, leave the stem on, cut the stem off and it rots from the wound. Wipe them dry, don't wash them, and lay them on a board somewhere cool and dry, not touching. 4 to 6 months, no work at all, nothing to do but look at them. The cheapest calories in the store in October, and they will feed you in February. Buy them in October when they are cheap and heavy, and everybody is sick of the sight of them. You will be eating them when the store is charging 3 times as much. Number 19. Apples dried on a string. Cord, sliced thin, threaded on a cotton string, hung across the kitchen above the stove where the warm air goes. 4 days and they're leather. Into a cloth bag or a jar and they keep a year. That's what winter fruit was in this house. Dried apples went into pies, into oatmeal, and into a pot with a little water and sugar to make sauce. The whole apparatus is a needle and a piece of string. You don't need a dehydrator, and you don't need anything you have to plug in. You need a needle, a string, and a warm corner of your own kitchen. Number 18. Leather britches, dried green beans. Whole beans, strung on a thread through the middle, hung to dry until they're shriveled and hard as bark. That's where the name comes from. They keep a year in a bag. To cook them, you soak them overnight and then simmer them for a couple of hours with a piece of pork, and they don't taste like fresh beans at all. They taste deeper, like the difference between a grape and a raisin. Almost nobody does this now, and it is the most Appalachian thing in this entire video. If you grow beans and you always end up with more than you can eat, this is what you do with the ones you would otherwise let go. Nothing about it costs you a cent. Number 17. Salt pork in a crock. Layers of pork belly and layers of salt in a stone crock, packed down tight in the cool. Salt pulls the water out. Nothing spoils without water. That's the whole science, and it's 4,000 years old. It comes out hard and salty, and you soak it or you use it in small pieces as seasoning, and it will keep in a cold cellar for months. There is a good chance your grandmother's beans got their flavor from a crock like that, and nobody in your family ever mentioned it. And if you have never cooked with a piece of salt pork, buy one and put it in your next pot of beans. You will taste what your grandmother's cooking was doing that yours isn't. Number 16. Country ham, salted and hung. A whole ham rubbed with salt, left in the salt for weeks, then washed, then hung in a dark shed to dry for 6 months or a year. You've seen these hanging in country stores. They are not refrigerated, they are not cooked, and they have been there since last winter. Now I'll say the honest part. Doing this properly takes cold weather, the right amount of salt for the weight, and knowing what you're doing. It's how it was done for centuries, and it's still done today, but it is not a thing to improvise from a video. If you want to go there, get a current, tested guide. Number 15. Sausage packed in its own lard. Make the sausage into patties. Fry them all the way through. Pack them into a crock and pour the hot rendered lard over the top until they are completely covered, no meat touching air. The fat seals it. Nothing gets in. Kept cold and covered, that crock fed us into the spring. The French do exactly this, call it confit, and charge a great deal of money for it. It is the same crock. This is the one I'd point you at if you want the old ways with none of the risk. You cook the meat all the way through first, and the fat is only a seal. Nothing is left raw and hoping. Number 14. Lard itself, rendered and kept. Pork fat cooked down slow until it's clear, strained, poured into crocks, and left in the cool. Properly rendered lard, kept cool and dark, keeps for many months without any refrigeration at all. It is the fat that fried everything in this house, and it is the reason there was always fat in the pantry, even when there was no money. Buy the rendered kind at any Mexican grocery for a couple of dollars if you don't want to make it. It's the same thing. Keep yours somewhere cool and dark, not on a sunny counter, and give it a clean spoon. That's all it asks of you. Number 13. Eggs kept without cold, and what I'd actually tell you to do. They kept eggs in a bucket of water glass, sodium silicate, completely submerged, for the better part of a year. Here's the honest version. This works on farm-fresh, unwashed eggs with the blooms still on them, and it does not work on the eggs you buy in an American supermarket. Because those are washed at the plant and the natural coating is gone. That's also why American eggs have to be refrigerated and European ones don't. So if you have hens, look up water glassing properly. If you buy eggs at the store, the old method is not for you, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. Number 12. Sauerkraut in a crock. Shredded cabbage, salt, packed down hard until its own juice comes up and covers it, weighted with a plate and a stone, left in the cool for 3 weeks. The salt and the cabbage do it all. Nothing else goes in. No vinegar, no starter, nothing. It keeps for months in a cool cellar, and it gets better. And it's the easiest preserving there is. If you have only ever done one thing off this list, make it this one. If you have never made anything ferment in your life, start here. You cannot really get it wrong. If it is under its own brine and it smells sour rather than rotten, you have made sauerkraut. Number 11. Pickled beans and pickled corn. Same crock, same idea, different vegetable. Green beans or cut corn, brined in salt water and left to sour. This is how a mountain family ate vegetables in January before anybody had a freezer, and it has a sharp, sour, salty taste that people either love or can't get near. My father would eat pickled beans straight out of the crock, with his fingers standing at the cellar door. Try a small crock before you commit a big one. It is a taste you either take to immediately or you don't, and you'll know within one forkful. Number 10. Vinegar, and why it was in every pantry in a gallon jug. Vinegar is acid, and almost nothing that makes food dangerous can live in acid. That is the whole principle behind every pickle there has ever been. A gallon of vinegar is about $4, and it will pickle cucumbers, beets, onions, peppers, eggs, watermelon rind, and the green tomatoes that never ripened. And remember which way this works. Acid is the safe end. It's the low-acid things, beans, corn, meat, where you cannot improvise. I'll come back to that at number 4, and I'll be plain about it. Keep a gallon jug of it in your pantry, and you have the safest preserving method there is, sitting there whenever you want it. Number 9. Sorghum and molasses. Cane syrup, boiled down thick and poured into jugs. It sat in the pantry all year with a cloth over it, and nothing ever happened to it. Too much sugar in it for anything to grow. Same reason as honey, which is where we're going at the end. It sweetened everything in this house. It went on cornbread and on biscuits, and it cost my family nothing because a neighbor grew the cane. And if you have never had sorghum on a hot buttered biscuit, you are missing one of the genuinely great American breakfasts, and it costs about what a jar of jam costs you. Number 8. Sugar and salt as the pantry itself. Nobody thinks of these as preserved food. They are the two things in the pantry that cannot go bad at all. A sack of salt and a sack of sugar, kept dry, are good in 100 years. And between them, they are the working half of half this list. The salt pork, the ham, the kraut, the jam, the sorghum. When you stock a pantry, those two are the foundation, and they're the cheapest things in the store. Number 7. The smokehouse. A little dark shed, a slow smoldering fire of hickory or apple wood, and the meat hanging up in the smoke for days. Smoke dries the outside and lays a coat of compounds over it that keeps things from growing. Combined with salt, and it was always combined with salt, it kept meat through a winter. Same caution as the ham. Cold smoking meat is real preserving, and it is done with a tested method, not by guessing. Hot smoking, where you cook it through and then eat it, is a different and much simpler thing. So if you want the flavor without the risk, hot smoke it and eat it that week. That is the version I would put in your hands. Number 6. Dried corn and cornmeal in a tin. Field corn dried hard on the cob, shelled, and kept in a tin with a tight lid. Whole dry corn keeps for years. Ground into meal it keeps for months. And here's the part people don't know. Stone ground meal with the germ still in it goes rancid. Because there's oil in it. That's exactly why the mills started taking the germ out. Buy stone ground, keep it in the freezer if you have one, and use it within a few months. The kind that lasts forever because there's less in it. So look at the bag you're buying. If it says stone ground, you are getting more, and you have to treat it like something that can spoil, because it can. Number 5. Hard cheese under wax. A round of hard cheese, dipped in wax so no air touches it, kept in the cool. Aged hard cheese is already most of the way there. It's low in water and high in salt, which is the same trick as everything else on this list. The wax just finishes the job. Months on a shelf. And the older it gets, the better it tastes, which is not true of anything in your refrigerator. Buy a whole piece rather than the sliced kind, because the moment you slice it, you have given air a surface to work on. You keep it whole, and you cut what you need. Number 4. Canning. And here is where I stop and be serious with you. Glass jars, lids, and heat. It's the newest method on this list. It only goes back about 200 years. And it's the one that put up 200 jars of tomatoes in this house every August. Now listen to this part properly, because it is the one place where the old ways included something that genuinely kills people. High acid things, fruit, jam, pickles, tomatoes with acid added, can be done in a boiling water bath. That's the old way, and it's still correct. Low acid things, green beans, corn, potatoes, and all meat, cannot. They need a pressure canner and a current tested recipe, not a water bath, not your great aunt's index card, not what a man on the internet did in his kitchen. The thing that grows in an improperly canned jar of low-acid food is botulism. It does not smell. It does not look wrong. There is no way to tell by opening the jar. I am not saying this to frighten anybody off canning. I am saying it because I have seen a video with 200,000 views teaching people to water bath meat, and I am not going to be another one. Do the fruit and the pickles the old way. For anything low acid, use a pressure canner and a current tested method. Number 3. Dried herbs and the winter medicine shelf. Sage, mint, catnip, boneset, mullein, cut before they flowered, tied in bunches, hung upside down in a dark, dry room, then crumbled into jars. A year on the shelf, easily. And I'll say the same thing I say about doctors. My mother made teas out of half of these, and I'm not going to tell you they cure anything. What I can tell you is that they were dried and kept exactly this way, and that a jar of dried mint costs nothing and beats what you'd pay for it. Cut yours in the summer before the plant flowers, because after that, the leaves turn bitter and you have wasted the year. Number 2. The cold pantry off the north wall. Not a cellar, a closet, a cupboard, or a little room built against the north side of the house, unheated, with a vent to the outside near the floor. In the mountains, that room sat 40 degrees all winter without anybody doing anything to it. It held the milk, the butter, the pie, the leftovers, the bread. If you live where it freezes, you have a north wall and you are not using it. Every house built before 1930 in a cold state had a room like this, and nearly every one of them has been insulated over and forgotten. And now, number 1. Go and look at the north side of your own house. If there's a closet or a cupboard on that wall, you are standing next to a cold pantry that somebody sealed up and forgot about. Number 1. Honey. The crock in my pantry. Here is the thing about honey that makes it different from everything else in this video. Everything else on this list is a delay. Salt delays it, smoke delays it, cold delays it, sugar delays it. Every one of these buys you a season, or a year, or 2 years. Honey does not spoil, not slowly. It doesn't have a clock on it at all. 3 things make that true, and they all come from the bee. It's about 80% sugar and almost no water, so there is nothing for anything to live on. It's acidic, and the bee adds an enzyme that makes a small amount of hydrogen peroxide in it. Between those 3, nothing can grow in honey. Archaeologists have opened sealed pots of it in Egyptian tombs 3,000 years old and found it still edible. That is not a story somebody made up on the internet. Sealed, kept dry, honey outlasts the building it's stored in. And here is the thing everybody gets wrong, which is the whole reason I put this at number 1. Water. Honey is hygroscopic. It pulls water out of the air. And the only thing that can ruin honey is water getting into it, because once there's enough water in there, it will ferment. So, a lid that actually seals. A dry place. And this is the part. A dry spoon every single time. A wet spoon into the jar puts water in the honey. A spoon you licked puts water in the honey. That's how people ruin a jar and then tell you honey goes bad. The other thing that happens is it goes solid and grainy, and half of America throws that jar out. Crystallized honey is not spoiled honey. It's the most natural thing it does. Stand the jar in a pan of warm water, warm, not hot, and it goes back to liquid. My mother kept a jar on the back of the stove in winter for exactly that reason. Now, why this one is number 1, and it isn't only because it keeps. That crock has been in my family for at least 4 generations that I can account for, and probably more. My grandmother had it in a house I never saw. My mother had it here. And when I go, it goes to my brother's girl, and it will still have honey in it. There is nothing else in this house like that. Everything else I own has a date on it. The stove will die, The roof will need doing. The truck is already older than it should be. Every single thing I have is quietly on its way out. That crock isn't. That crock is the only object in my life that will be doing exactly the same job in 100 years that it's doing today, and the honey in it will still be good. My mother used to say, and I didn't understand it until I was about 60, that a full pantry is not about food, it's about not being afraid. She was right. The reason to know these 25 things isn't to save a few dollars, although you will. It's so that a power cut is an inconvenience instead of a disaster. It's so that a bad month doesn't empty your shelves. It's so that whatever comes, there is something in the dark corner of your house that doesn't care. 25 of them. If you do one thing off this list, do number 22. Take your potatoes and your onions out of the refrigerator tonight. Put them somewhere cool and dark, and keep them apart from each other. It costs nothing. It takes 2 minutes, and it will triple how long they last. And if you do 2, get a jar of honey and a crock, and start the shelf. Everything else here builds off having somewhere cool and dark to put things. Now tell me down in the comments what your mother or your grandmother kept without a refrigerator. The crock, the cellar, the springhouse, whatever it was in your family. I read every one of them, and a good third of what I do on this channel now comes out of those comments and not out of my notebook. Her whole book is written out and priced out at the link below if you'd rather hold it than wait on me. Next time, how she kept this house warm all winter without a furnace, and the one thing she did every October that cost $9 and made more difference than anything else in the house. Subscribe if you haven't. I'm Otis Barlow. Go put something up.